What's good, y'all, man? We are back again, and today we are going to piggyback off of yesterday's video where we talked about one player that Eastern Conference teams to target going into this trade deadline. And today we are talking about the Western Conference. Now, this one was kind of harder because a lot of these Western Conference teams are either rebuilding or they're trying to fight for a playoff spot and trying to contend. I'm not saying it's not to fight that on the Eastern Conference side, but it's like, it's a lot of rebuilding teams on this side. So I didn't know what they should do. But we're going to start off from the top again. Start off with the Suns. Like I said, the Suns, I didn't really know what they needed. They kind of have everything. And my whole thing was, this is a wing-heavy league. So why not get stronger in the wing position and go out there and draft a player? Trade for a player that's having a really decent year in Josh Richardson. All they would have to trade will be Alfred Payton, giving the Celtics a really good, well, not a really good point guard, but a decent point guard, Dario Saric, just to make the contracts work. And then when he comes back next year, he can be a really good player for this team. And the second round pick. And then in return, you get Josh Richardson, who is having a good year. And I don't know if you guys know, but he is the Celtics' best shooter. Shooting 40% from three, which is really crazy because the last two teams, all they wanted him to do was shoot, and he couldn't do it. And they got him out of there. And now he's starting to shoot. He's having a really good year. And I feel like with this team, the Suns team will fit really perfect as they're trying to go back to the finals again. And this time they're trying to win the finals. I feel like he will fit perfectly with this team coming off the bench with Cam Johnson, Cameron Payne, JaVale McGee. I just feel like he'll be another piece on that bench to make that bench even stronger than it was the past few months. And I feel like he'll fit perfectly. And he can kind of interchange just in case players get hurt like Mikal Bridges. You can kind of slide him in there. He can even play the forward like Jay Crowder does. I'm not saying he's as good of a defender as Jay Crowder is when it comes to guarding forwards, but he's not that bad of a defender. And I feel like he'll fit perfectly with this team. Now, the next team we have is the Warriors. I don't have them making a trade. I have them signing DeMarcus Cousins. Last week, DeMarcus Cousins signed to the Nuggets, and it just never happened. Like, they voided it or something. I don't know what happened. So I have them signing DeMarcus Cousins. The one thing that they need is bigs. They don't have bigs. James Wiseman, I don't think he's coming back the rest of the season. They're going to keep trying to give you these updates like he's coming back. He's not coming back. They need bigs. Kevin Looney's cool. He's doing his job. If they were to sign a DeMarcus Cousins or were to trade for anybody else, I will still let Kevin Looney start because he knows the system. He knows how to play with them. He's been playing with them for, 4 or 5 years. And he fits his role. He plays his role to the fullest. One of those guys that you'll say he's an all-star in his role. That's cool. But they need bigs coming off that bench. Nemanja Bjelica, he's kind of on and off a player. Sometimes he'll have a good game. Sometimes he's streaky. And sometimes he's just not good at all. DeMarcus Cousins would just bring another aspect with this team. A huge guy coming off the bench that they really need. A shooter, a person that can shoot, spread the floor, give really good passes. He already knows the offense. He played with them for a half of the season. So I feel like that would just be a perfect pickup for them, especially going into this buyout market, because I think after February 17th, they can't sign no more players. And this is the whole league. They can't sign no more players to 10-day hardship contracts. They got to sign them for the rest of the season or even put them on 2 ways. I feel like that would be a perfect pickup for them, and I don't think they need to make a trade because this team, chemistry-wise, they're clicking on all cylinders. They're losing right now because they're hurt. Steph Curry's in the shooting slump. They're trying to bring Klay Thompson back along as they're trying to make this push. They're losing a little bit of games, but I'm not really worried about what they're doing right now. But I think going into the playoffs, they need that big, and that's what they should trade for. Now, next, we have the Jazz. This trade I absolutely love. It helps the Jazz get younger because when you look at this team, they are an older team. The only young piece that they really have is Donovan Mitchell, and even then, he's 25 going on 26. Rudy Gobert is, I think, 28, going on 29. Then the other players that they have, Bogdanovic, 32. Joe Ingles, 35, 36. Same thing with Mike Conley, 34, 35. They're an older team. Rudy Gay, 30-something. Hassan Whiteside, 30-something. They need to get younger. And I feel like going out there, giving up some of your depth to make a big trade so y'all can actually be a real contender. Because some people don't see them as a real contender. I do. I made a whole video about it last week. I see them as a real contender. But this will solidify it if they go out there and trade for a guy like Jeremy Grant. I just feel like that fit would feel so perfectly with them because sometimes he doesn't need the ball. Even though that whole news came out yesterday that he wants another max contract. And he wants to be like a second or a third option. And he will be that with the team. He'll be a second option right after Donovan Mitchell. He can play out ball with Donovan Mitchell. he can come in and play that 4 spot. You will have to give up Royce O'Neal, Eric Pascal, who's a young player, Joe Ingles, and a first-round pick for the 2023 draft. They give them draft picks, get another young player, Eric Pascal, and you can get a player like Joe Ingles and Royce O'Neal that you easily ship off. They'll easily get calls right away for those 2 players. So that fit would fit perfectly for the Jazz. Like, I would be looking at the Jazz different if they get Jeremy Grant. He will fit so perfectly, especially next to Rudy Gobert, spreading the floor. And then on the offensive side, when Donovan Mitchell is not doing this thing, Mike Conley's not doing this thing, he's kind of a player that can step it up at any time he wants. He is a 20-point per game scorer. And I feel like on that team, he will fit perfectly. Next, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I know y'all seen my video last week where I said the Memphis Grizzlies are 1 piece away, and the 1 piece that I kept saying they needed was Jeremy Grant. I'm going somewhere else right now. This Grizzlies team is overachieving like hell, along with the Cavs. They're like the 2 face of the league, the 2 teams that are face of the league as of right now. They're just dominating, and that's all the NBA is talking about. It's just those 2 teams. And like I said, they are 1 piece away from me being like, yeah, they're a contender. I feel like if this player is available, they need to go for a player that's way miles above from Jeremy Grant. I think they need to go out to Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram fits with this young core. He fits next to John Moran and Jaren Jackson. He is a closer. He won't take away shots from anybody else. Like I told y'all, Desmond Bane gets a lot of his shots off the ball, setting up for 3-point shots. He gets a lot of his shots on that. John Morant, even though he's scoring a lot more, he is a point guard first. John Morant passes the ball first. He's a pass-first point guard. So he can be able to defer to Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram will come on the team and be a real number 1 option. That's what I feel like they need. They need a real number 1 option. He would fit so perfectly with this team. And then in the Pelicans, they get Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks, Jared Culver, and then this year's 2022 first-round pick from the Lakers. So you're getting 2 young players, and then you're getting a first-round pick, and then you're getting Kyle Anderson, who, like I said with the last guys, you can easily trade him. Teams will be calling for him in an instant too. But for the Grizzlies, man, if they was to pull off this trade, which I hope, I pray for, because I'm a big BI fan. I really want him on another team. If they would be able to pull off this trade, man, this young core and this team, they will be ready right now. They're not really giving up no depth. This whole streak that they've been on, Dylan Brooks has barely played. Kyle Anderson, sometimes he doesn't play. Jared Culver, I can tell you right now, he does not play. So, making that trade without giving up any depth, and then you've got to give up a first-round pick, you're going to be good anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have all the depth anyway. It doesn't matter. And you're getting an all-star return next to an all-star that you already have with this deep team that you're still going to have while giving up a lot of depth. They will be set. So, that's the trade for them. Next, we have the Grizzlies. Oh yeah, next we have the Mavericks. For the Mavericks, I have them getting a guy that's just brings more aggression with this team. He's not really good of a defender, but when it comes off the bench, I feel like he will fit perfectly with this team. I got them getting Montrezl Harrell. I think they need a lot more like this little grit on their team, little grind on their team, especially coming off the bench. They only got to give up Trey Burke, Sterling Brown, and the 2nd round pick. The Wizards just said the other day that Montrezl Harrell is on the market. So this is a decent trade for both teams. You can easily change that 2nd round pick to a 1st round pick if you want to. But I feel like Montrezl Harrell, especially next to Luka and especially next to Jaylen Brown, he just fits so perfectly with them. A lot better. And then when it comes to the bench, they have a lot of stagnant moments when they're not scoring as much. And I feel like he can help that team out a lot. He's averaging 15 points this year, shooting really good from the field. He's not going to be able to play a lot come playoff time. As far as like deep in the game, like 4th quarter, he won't be able to play because his defense is terrible. But other than that, he would fit perfectly with the team. And I just have them making that trade just to get better because the West is getting better. Next, we have the Nuggets. The Nuggets are over the Lakers. I did not know that. Next, we have the Nuggets. I made my notes for this video last night. Last night, they ended up trading for Brent Forbes. So I'm like, this whole trade that I was going to tell y'all was them trading for a shooter. I was going to say they traded Michael Green and Marcus Howard for Justin Holiday. That would fit perfectly next to Jokic, a player that doesn't need the ball at all. And when he's hot, he is on fire. A lot of teams need a guy like Justin Holiday who's only making $6 million. That contract is a steal. It's a steal, bro. So I would love that trade for them. I think they can still do that trade. But they did just get Brent Forbes. Brent Forbes, he's streaky. Like, Justin Holiday is on all day. He's not streaky at all. Next, the Lakers. This is one of my favorite trades because, yes, it's one of my favorite teams. We get Mike Muscala, Cameron Williams from the Thunder, and they get Taylor Horton-Tucker in the second-round pick, which we don't really care about. Taylor Horton-Tucker, his time with us needs to be over. Let him go spread his wings with somebody else, and then in return, we get a big that can spread the floor and also plays really decent defense. And then we get a hustle guy. That's one thing we don't have. We don't have no hustle guys. We don't have no guys on our team that have heart. Like, we don't have none of that. Kenny Hustle. That's his name. It's Kenny Hustle. Cameron Williams will fit perfectly with this team. He can play the 3 or the 4. He will fit perfectly next to LeBron and Westbrook. Those guys will love him instantly. And I would love that trade, bro. Kenny Hustle needs to be on another team coming after the trade deadline because he can play some really good basketball for a lot of contending teams. So don't be surprised when you hear his name a lot, but I really hope we can pull off that trade, especially if we get both of those guys. I would love it. Next, we have the Clippers. Now with the Clippers, Paul George is going to be out for probably the rest of the season. Kawhi, even though they're going to keep telling y'all that he's making some improvements in his rehab, he's not coming back. It's no point. So for them, they just even said the other day that they're willing to trade some of their vets to kind of tank and have some picks going into the offseason. Then next year when they're full strength, they can go off and go rocking. So I have them trading Marcus Morris to the Grizzlies. Let's just say that whole BI thing doesn't go down, which it might not go down. Marcus Morris on the Grizzlies would also be a really good fit. But in return, they get a 2022 first-round pick from the Lakers that the Grizzlies had. They get a young player in Jared Culver, and then they get Kyle Anderson. You might hear those names 1 or 2 more times. I don't know. But, yeah, that's just a decent trade for the Clippers. They get rid of some guys. And then they get a young player back that still has a little bit of potential that they can probably tap into. Put him next to Kawhi and Paul George, let them pick his head a little bit. They can probably help him out a lot. Then you get a first-round pick coming into this year's draft, which is a deep draft. So, decent trade for the Clippers. Next, we have the Timberwolves. This is one of my favorites. It takes a lot? Not really, actually. Jake Layman and Josh Okogie and Jordan McLaughlin in a 2023 first-round pick, or it can be a second-round pick, whatever one you want, to the Rockets for Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice with this Minnesota Timberwolves team would be perfect. A 4 that can spread the floor. A really good pick-and-roll player, especially with D'Lo. Him and D'Lo can have a lot of points off that pick-and-roll. A really good defender that you can put next to Cat. They have Jared Vanderbilt, but the difference between Jared Vanderbilt and Daniel Tice is Jared Vanderbilt, he fouls a lot. He fouls a lot. He's a decent defender. He's a decent shot blocker, but he's not really a good defender. He's a decent shot blocker. But Daniel Tice is a really, really good defender. And putting him next to Cat, who's also having a really good defensive season, that's not getting talked about. That's why I feel like he's a lock at the All-Star. But Daniel Tice will fit perfectly with this team, especially next to Cat. And he won't really step on nobody's toes if he was to go over there. All he needs to do is just play defense, play off ball, and at any time he can hit like 4 to 5 threes a game. He has a really good shot, and he will fit perfectly with this team. He's only making $8 million for 4 more years, so that would be a really good trade for them. And I think that will be a trade that can kind of be like, okay, they could probably compete for more than a play-in spot, because that's what they're competing for right now. I think they can do more than that. Next, we have the Kings. Okay, this Kings one is about to be a 3-team trade. And mind you, this was before the Kings just said the dumbest thing. They just came out with something literally 20 minutes ago saying they don't want to trade De'Aaron Fox, even though De'Aaron Fox was literally in every single fucking rumor the whole day. This is a 3-team trade. In the beginning of the day, they said they were talking about trading De'Aaron Fox for Domantas Sabonis. When I thought of that, I was like, for the Kings, yes, do it. Push the button right now. But for the Pacers, that makes absolutely no sense. So I was like, you know what? Here's a better trade where every team would get a good player. The Kings, you get Willie Hernangomez, you get your guy Domantas Sabonis, you get Najee Marshall. For the Pacers, you get Tomas Satoransky, Jackson Hayes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and the 2022 first-round picks from the Lakers, which I don't know how the Lakers have a first-round pick. The Grizzlies have a Lakers first-round pick, and the Kings have a Lakers first-round pick. But never mind. And then the Pelicans, they get De'Aaron Fox. This is three teams. This is two teams. I'm covering two teams right here. For the Kings, that would be perfect. You let Tyrese Halliburton play his position, which is the point guard. He doesn't really have nobody he has to defer to at the guard position. It's just him. And him and Domantas Sabonis. Y'all think Tyrese kills with Rashad Holmes in the pick and roll? Imagine Domantas Sabonis and him in the pick and roll. That pick and roll would be absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Every trade move that came out today on many pages, I said that pick and roll was scared of the league, bro. That pick and roll was scared of the league because Tyrese Halliburton is an amazing passer in the pick and roll. Domantas Sabonis is one of the best big man passers in the league and one of the best passers in the pick and roll in the league. Those two together would fit perfectly in a pick and roll. And then just for this team, man, you're getting another young player that probably fits better with Tyrese and the other young guys more than De'Aaron. De'Aaron just looks like he checked out. That's one of my guys, one of my favorite players. But, like, I understand, man. You've been doing this for 4 years. You're not used to losing. And they're not doing anything to help you. They're drafting Davion Mitchell instead of other guys. I don't want to keep harping on that. But, like, yeah, they're not doing anything to help you. So he's kind of checked out. But you're getting a player like Domantas Sabonis who probably fits better with this young core. And I think they can definitely make playing spot with Domantas Sabonis. And for the Pelicans, I'm talking about the Pelicans in this too. They would have a core of De'Aaron Fox, of B.I., of Zion, of Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Kira Lewis, Devontae Graham. That would be a good fit for this team. A good start. And I feel like they can even make a play-in spot. You trading in players that haven't been playing good. Tomas Satoransky hasn't been playing good. I thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker was going to be in the most improved player of the year race. He's been playing terrible. And Jackson Hayes was just a dumb pick from the start. So, trading players that you don't really need. Najee Marshall, you didn't need him. Willie Ernie Gomez, you didn't need him. And you're getting an all-star return. Well, all-star caliber type player return that can play with your young core and your guys like Brandon Ingram and Zion. And he fits perfectly with those guys. So, that's a really good trade all around. I don't like swapping De'Aaron and Domantas. That absolutely makes no sense. So, that's it for the Kings and the Pelicans. We're not talking about those teams no more. Next, we got the Spurs, and I think we have two more trades, actually. So, next we have the Spurs. The Spurs are getting a guy that I just talked about that I was super disappointed in. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, pairing him next to DeJounte Murray. I feel like that will help him out a lot, especially take some pressure off DeJounte Murray. Getting scoring right next to him, getting shooting right next to him, that will fit perfectly with this team. They will only have to give Okidabase the Jock Landale. I never heard that name. I seen him play the other day when he played us, but I never heard that name before. You get rid of him, and then you get you also get a first round pick in return. The Spurs will have to trade a first round pick for him. But other than that, that's a good trade for that team. And next we have Thunder. The Thunder are going to pick up Jalen Smith. You know how they do. They love their young players. This is a player that you're going to bet on young. All you had to give up was Kenrich Williams, who will fit perfectly next to the Suns team. I hope they don't get him. There's Isaiah Roby in the second round pick. They don't even want Jalen Smith anyway. They're playing other players that probably shouldn't be played over him. So, getting Jalen Smith, you don't really have to give up much. Like I said, Kenrich Williams is a player that's not going to be on the team anyway. He's going to get traded soon. So, that's a really good trade for them. And then last, we have the Rockets getting a first round pick. That's all you really want them to get. Just get a first round pick for the Mavericks. I did this yesterday with the Magic. Get a first round pick for the Mavericks. All you got to give up is Daniel Tice. If the Mavericks get Daniel Tice, whoa, that would be fun. But yeah, that's it for this video, man. I decided to make this video a little bit shorter. Tomorrow is the Joel Embiid breakdown. Hopefully I'm feeling better. Other than that, that's it. Peace out.